CEO of Green Hat Web Solutions, and I'm here with my co-founder Ken Miller as well. And today we are going to be talking about a deep dive into WooCommerce and Shopify. And we are presenting a series of webinars on how to create an e-commerce business, because this has the demand for knowledge about how to create e-commerce businesses has only increased since the COVID pandemic, and a lot of things have gone online. And so we are doing these webinars together with the Commons on Champa and the Denver Economic Opportunity and Development. And it's a great privilege to be here. We offer these meetups for free to the public. It's a way for us to stay sharp, stay on top of our game, and also to have some great conversation, learn some new things ourselves, meet people. So this is meant to be like an open discussion. You can talk and ask questions as we go. And if you really enjoy it, we would love a review at the end. But first of all, though, let Carrie Singer introduce herself with the Commons on Champa, who we are partnered with.
Great. Thank you so much, Ryan. It's great to be here with you all today. I think I know most of you on the call, but my name is Carrie Singer, and I work for local government, specifically the Denver Economic Development and Opportunity Office. And we saw a need again early on in the pandemic for there really to be additional resources for folks looking to start an e-commerce business, or for existing brick and mortars to gain added resources so that they can effectively pivot into the online marketplace. So we partnered with Green Hat Web Solutions, and we're offering a series of workshops. So I very much encourage you to keep attending. But very briefly, I'll mention the city of Denver has a wide array of resources to support entrepreneurs throughout their journey. These include free small business advising, tax credit incentive programs for doing business in Denver, access to lending opportunities, specifically small business financing, certifications to do business with Denver, and a whole lot more. A little over 5 years ago, Denver helped to launch the Commons on Champa. And the Commons on Champa, I'll post information about this in the chat. But the Commons on Champa was created to be that public resource for entrepreneurs, where entrepreneurs have access to business advising, workshops, much like we're doing here today, and really high impact programming so that entrepreneurs have the resources necessary to launch and grow their business. So without further ado, I will pass it back to you, Ryan, but I will certainly provide more information to attendees in the chat.
Great. Thank you very much, Carrie. I really highly recommend the services of the Commons on Champa. They're a great group of people. And Michael Bevis is here as well from the Denver Economic Opportunity and Development. So Michael, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. I was just wrapping up another meeting. So yeah, I'm Michael Bevis. I work with Carrie in the Office of Economic Development and Opportunity, working to help support entrepreneurs at all stages of their journey. I often house out of the Commons on Champa as well. And so happy to be here. And I happen to also be a founder and a CEO of a startup company that operates on an e-commerce model. So looking forward to chatting with everybody today.
Excellent, thank you. So the agenda for today's meeting is, first we will have Ken show us WooCommerce and walk us through things such as getting it set up, how the products work, and some of the other features that it offers. Then Michael will continue and finish with talking about Shopify and talking about maybe some of the things that are similar and different to that. So Ken, maybe I'll let you introduce you first. Let you introduce yourself first, and then you can just get started.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Yes, I am Ken Miller. I work with Ryan at Green Hat. We've been doing Green Hat since 2010, I believe. Ryan still is not too sick of me yet, I guess.
Right. Business is good. It's fun.
So yeah, I just kind of wanted to show a little bit about what WooCommerce is. Let me start by sharing my screen. Okay, are you seeing this?
Yes.
Okay, so what is WooCommerce? Basically, WooCommerce is a plugin that allows you to turn WordPress into an e-commerce site. If you're not very familiar with what WordPress is, it is a free content management system that you can run on any, well, not any, but most hosting environments, especially a very affordable hosting environments. And it lets you run a website without being very technical yourself. When you first, or this here screen here is the kind of like the home page of the backend in WordPress. And when you first install just WordPress, you'll already have things like pages, a media library for images and PDFs. It has a comment system. So it has everything you need to be able to just show informational type pages. But if you go to plugins over here, plugins are a way to extend the basic WordPress software. And I already have WooCommerce installed here, but it's not active. So right now you'll see in my list of plugins here, WooCommerce is inactive. And when I activate it, you'll see two options were added here into the menu. The first I want to talk about is products. So what happened here is WooCommerce, the plugin, gives you a new type of content called products. And I already have two set up here, so I could show it to you a little easier. So I've got a bed and a patio chair here. But you can add new products just as easily. You can edit a product. Basic WordPress or WooCommerce comes with things like a way to categorize your products over here. Here at the top is the main description of the product. Most sites will let you show an image for the product and a gallery. You'll get a lot of product data here. You can track your inventory. It comes with some basic shipping options. And then down here below is what's called the short description. And I have the front end up over here in a different browser. So you can see here's the two products that I already have set up. That was like a list of products on the shop page. And then here's an example of a single product. So it's basically, WooCommerce already comes with all of the basics that you need for an e-commerce site. Oh yeah, and then let me show you, let me jump over to the back end again. So in addition to products in the menu, there's also this new menu here, WooCommerce. So you'll see here, home is kind of like a summary page. From here, you can see your orders, your customers. It already comes with a coupon system. It comes with some basic reporting. Settings are ways to configure your store. Status kind of helps you with troubleshooting. And extensions is also another way to extend the store. So I already did a couple of test orders, just so I could show it to you here, see what it looks like. Okay, so we have 2 orders here. You can see there's a status. So one of them was completed. Processing would mean that it just came in, and I need to ship the product if it's something that gets shipped, or or it's just a way to notify me that it's a new order. Customers, I don't know if I have any customers set up in here yet. Oh yeah, yep. Okay, so here are the 2 customers from my test orders.
Can you see any specific demographic or data on the individual customers themselves, like when they place the order, like this is their first time placing an order, or this is they're a repeat customer, or those kinds of things? Can you see that from any of these 2 screens you just showed?
If the system knows who the customer is, you'll be able to see a count of how many orders they've had. I don't know if there's a lot of demographic data on kind of in the basic WooCommerce. You might want some plugins for that to extend it. WooCommerce, so let me kind of also explain a little bit of how the plugins work. So WooCommerce, most sites that we worked on, Ryan and I worked on, that are WooCommerce related, they almost always go beyond just the main WooCommerce plugin. And so if you wanted some more information about customers, there's probably plugins out there that helps you get that information and get better tracking. Here's an example of a plugin that I already have here on the site. I have WooCommerce here is the main one. I added WooCommerce Square. This Square does 2 things for you, 2 main things for you. You can use it for accepting payments, and then they also have a good inventory system, and you can sync. If you wanted to use Square as your kind of integrated with your store, you could use it for tracking your inventory. But you could go in here to these plugins and add just countless options for WooCommerce related plugins. So this is just one example. I also wanted to show you something else WooCommerce does is it adds some basic pages for you that control the functionality of the store. So you'll see cart page in here, checkout page, my account, and shop. All of those were automatically added in for me when I first activated WooCommerce. So, and this allows the front end system to work. So you'll already have a page that's your cart where the customer can obviously see what's in their cart, and checkout helps them check out and pay. It comes with a my account system, so they can log in if you choose to have customers create accounts on your user accounts on your system. This is already kind of built into WooCommerce. And then the shop page is kind of like the default page that shows all your products, in addition to things like the category pages or tag pages that you want to organize your products in.
Hey, Ken, by default, out of the box, how easy or what ability do you have to modify the layout or the design of like a cart page?
So that's going to depend a lot on the theme. WordPress has what they call, so plugins I kind of already went into, but they also have what's called a theme, and that would be under here and under appearance. You'll see we have one in here that this is kind of just a test site that I use, so it's called Archie. And then you'll also see in here there's 2021 is kind of the default WordPress theme. So some themes will give you more options than others as far as like kind of designing how your products look on the front end. Here was the example of like this theme. You'll see, like for example, this product is on sale has a different discounted price than the original price, so it automatically adds in this sale. So something like this is controlled by the theme. You know, how that sale little icon looks will be different depending on what theme you're using, for example. They all have if the theme is enabled for WooCommerce, it'll all have a lot of the basic, you know, the image, the short description, you know, what the add to cart button looks like, things like that. Sometimes they'll show a related product, sometimes they won't. So you have some, in addition to having just countless plugins available, you also have a lot of themes available to choose from. Some themes are free, and then some are themes that you can purchase.
And what happens if you were to choose a theme that is not WooCommerce enabled? Or maybe another way to ask the question is, when you are trying to choose a theme for your website, what are the important things you need to look at or you need to check to make sure that it does have a good presentation like this?
Yeah, most themes will at least work with WooCommerce. They'll kind of grab the same styling that the blog post has, typically. It's just won't, if you're trying to choose a theme, it's best to look for one where the theme author actually has it written there that, hey, this theme works with WooCommerce, because then you're going to get a lot more, the list of products, the single product page, and then things like the cart and the checkout pages and the My Account pages. All of that will be styled better, and you know, you won't have to try to customize that yourself. But you know, a lot of good themes, they do. WooCommerce is the most popular WordPress e-commerce plugin. So a lot of themes, you know, they care about that, and they will, you know, the people who develop their themes will make sure that if it's like a business theme or, you know, anything that's maybe beyond just blogging, chances are it'll work well with WooCommerce.
Can I add something to what you've given about that? I found a paid plugin that allows you to rebuild the product page and how it looks using blocks. And then if you assign it to a category, you can actually save it as a template, and every product you add in that's got that category, it will format that page the way you've designed it, and it works very well. And I'll put the link in the chat so people can check it out if they want to.
Yeah, that would be great. That's a good idea. So there's just another example of how you can kind of extend WooCommerce with a plugin. If you're not very technical, you know, that's a good place to start, is search for plugins that allow you to do your own styling of the site. Let me also mention that plugins are also good for adding on kind of the main integration of what you want to do with the store. Like if you have a shipping service that you use, like something like ShipStation is a common one. There's a ShipStation plugin that will let you integrate with their service. There are some plugins that help you calculate shipping rates or tax rates. So WooCommerce on its own does come with some basic functionality for things like shipping and taxes, but you can go further than just the basics with some plugins. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I would just say that from our experience, if you know your website is going to have WooCommerce enabled, then when you are picking themes, definitely make sure that you find a theme that is WooCommerce, that the theme author clearly states that it's compatible and made for WooCommerce. It just makes your life so much easier, right?
Yeah, and I can show you, let me show you real quick. All right. WooCommerce.com is a site that has very reliable plugins in their store, and then they also do have some themes here as well. So some of these can be kind of pricey, but you are kind of paying for quality, I think, when you go to this site. And you'll see in here that they do have some, I thought they had some themes in here. Yep. They kind of have some basic themes that then have some child themes that can help you get specific styles, or they just also have some basic themes. So anything in here would be good to start out with if you're looking for a kind of a new theme to start for a new store. But like I said, you know, there's a lot of options out there. Oh yeah, I wanted to show one more is it's called YITH. This is another one that we see used a lot with our clients. That's a little bit cheaper than WooCommerce.com, and I think they also have pretty high quality plugins for you. And you can get into things in here like, you know, if you want to have like a subscription business or a membership site, you know, just if you're looking for a specific function that you need your site to do, just go to Google, type in WooCommerce and whatever you're looking for.
So Gerald or Lance, have either of you used any plugins here from YI Themes?
I have not used any of their plugins.
Nor have I.
Okay. And Ken, what do you find? What are the most frequent ones that you have used from this site?
We have a client who turned their store. Well, it's not really technically a store. What they do is they use WooCommerce, but you don't actually make a purchase on their site. What you do is you build your order just as you normally would in a kind of a cart. But instead of then at the end making the purchase, it actually, you fill in some contact information and then you submit it. And what they call it is request a quote. It's because their products are very large and expensive. They're in manufacturing. So you don't really, it's not something that you could just normally would just order, like, you know, a minor product that gets shipped to you through UPS. So what they want to do is get the information from the potential customer and start a relationship there with how they can then, you know, get them into their business. So we actually use a plugin from YI Themes here to do that. And I think it might be called Request a Quote, WooCommerce Request a Quote or something like that. I think that's all I had.
What about like if you wanted to do some wholesale prices or some have some special ability for to see different prices for certain people who logged in? How does that happen?
Yeah, so same thing. Use a plugin for that. Like you can definitely with WordPress you do have control over the code. So if you are a developer or you have a developer you work with, you know, they can build custom plugins for you. But buying a plugin like this can cost you know, $50 to $200 a year, and they're developing it for you. So I think this site actually does have a let's see, what was it called? They might call theirs membership. I know that both YI Themes and I believe WooCommerce.com both have plugins that let you offer different pricing based on if they're a kind of a member or a subscriber of your site.
And can you kind of tell us about how that even, how that would work from a managerial perspective? Like say we did have this plugin installed on our site and like what's next step? How does a person become then a wholesaler? What's the responsibility of the admin to make this work?
Yeah, so for something like that, you typically would have them be, they would have a user account on your website, which would, so this, for example, is what they call a membership plugin. Actually, I'm sorry, for this one, it would be a subscription plugin is probably what you're looking for. So they could be what's called a subscriber on your site. And then when they are logged in to your site as a subscriber, the system could show them a different price for the product. So in that case, as an admin, you need to determine how someone becomes a wholesale customer. Is it something that they subscribe to, and is that like something they purchase, or do they just contact you? Maybe you have a contact form on your site, and they can, just get in touch with you and get set up as a subscriber in your system. So really just kind of think about the process of how you think it should work. Like what is it the customer does, what is it that the admin needs to do, and we can usually, what we'll do as someone who's working with clients like this is come up with what a good solution is for them, what plugins are needed to make those, hit those requirements.
And then if a person is going to be a wholesaler, they have to have a user account, or not a wholesaler, but a wholesale buyer. That person has to have a user account then, right?
That's one way to do it. You wouldn't have to do it that way. Maybe you have just like products on your site that are password protected, just with like a general password. And so maybe you just give the same password out to every wholesale client. It wouldn't be as secure that way, but maybe easier to manage.
And then in that scenario, would are the people who are seeing those password protected pages, are they different products like within WooCommerce, or is it the same product that once the password is enabled, the pricing then automatically adjusts?
I guess in that, a simple way to do that would be make it so they're different products.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's very customizable. That's one of the advantages of WooCommerce, is that it lets you do a lot of customization at an affordable price.
Okay. Can you tell us also too a little about how to set up some of the taxes and shipping information?
Yeah, I could show you in the back end here. So in the menu here where it was WooCommerce, you'll see settings. So here's an example. Remember I showed you that my test site here, I'm using Square. So when I activated the Square plugin, it automatically added this tab for Square here with some additional settings. And then it also, under the payments tab, it would have added Square down here. So now I'm saying, okay, I'm going to enable Square as a payment. Things like PayPal standard and check, these things are already part of the basic WooCommerce, but then I added a plugin to get Square.
Well, this is kind of an interesting page to talk about. Yeah, sorry. This payments page actually is interesting. Like, what kind of options are there available for people?
Yeah, so this is basically basic WooCommerce, just comes with some kind of basic options here. These four were already part of the basic WooCommerce, but there are a lot of plugins for any, if you're using authorize.net, if you're using Stripe, if you want like PayPal Pro, like PayPal Standard, I believe takes the customer to PayPal's website to make the purchase. There's PayPal plugins that you can use to where they stay on your site. So most plugins will integrate with the settings in this way. So like Square is a payment related plugin, so it adds settings here and allows me to enable it here. You'll see shipping is up here as a tab. For my example site here, I made Colorado a zone. And then you can set how the shipping works when a customer is in Colorado. So like for this example, I've got a flat rate or local pickup. Maybe I'm based in Denver, so I want people to be able to just come pick up their products, for example. So there's different ways to set up like different types of shipping classes and how they work, how it all works depending on where the customer is located. This is, I don't really have any other shipping or tax plugins on here, so it doesn't have a lot of options, but all of your kind of store configuration is in here in this setting, in these settings pages.
Great. And how do you allow people to pay with coupons and discount codes?
So yeah, so WooCommerce comes with some basic coupon options. So you'll see here, I don't actually have any yet. But in here, you can set up a discount code. Maybe you want free shipping on a product. You can create a coupon code for free shipping, and then you can go to your single product, edit that, and enable the coupon for that product. There are also some. I'm not very familiar with the basic WooCommerce coupon functionality. I know that we've had some clients use coupons where they get sent for, like, a coupon is kind of has a relationship with a customer. So that, they create the coupon code just only one certain customer can use. Maybe you can use it for like a loyalty discount kind of thing.
Or maybe that could also be like a way that a wholesaler, like you could work with your wholesalers, maybe just give them like an exclusive coupon code, right?
Right. So then, yeah, exactly. So they wouldn't have to be a special user type in your system. Instead, they could just be a normal customer where you've given them a code for their lower price. Exactly.
Yeah, and there's probably some other pretty good plugins as well that allows you to do lots with coupons, whether like they're recurring, one time only, certain percentages, all that.
Yeah. Just for example, I'll bet you WooCommerce has some coupon related plugins on here. So here's one called Smart Coupons, for example. Yep.
We actually have one question that was in the chat too, if I can interrupt you real quick. So Terry just wanted to know what the best and easiest credit card processor is with WooCommerce.
The easy ones that we've had experiences with, I would say, are Stripe, PayPal, and Square are all three good options. I don't know about how they compare as far as their fees go, but I know that as far as getting it to work on your site and being able to test it and implement it. There's good plugins for all three of those.
And like, for example, talking about testing, actually, that's a good point. How do you typically go about testing with one of these?
Yeah, so with a site like with a WooCommerce type WordPress site, I would recommend having kind of a dedicated test site. A lot of times they're called staging sites. And then whenever you are updating WordPress itself or updating a WooCommerce plugin, or maybe you're updating your theme, test it on the staging site first. And then payment plugins usually have a way for you to run like a test order. So like Square, for example, you can set up what's called a Square Sandbox account, and you can connect your staging site to the Square Sandbox, and they actually give you like fake credit card numbers. And then you can just, on your staging site, pretend you're a customer and go through the whole process, make a purchase using the test credit card. And it's just a good way to know that the site, everything's working okay before you make all your updates on the live site.
That's awesome. And maybe one final thing about these, the different payment processors, you could enable multiple ones at once, right? Like, for example, we have one client in the CBD space, and it's a little bit, or at least in the past, it's been a little unstable within the industry and what the banks kind of will allow them to do. So they actually have two enabled that they can turn on and off. Would you like to?
That's a good example. Another example is we had a client a few years ago who was selling like medical devices, and he was just having trouble. I didn't really know, never really got into the details, but I knew that he was having trouble getting approved at a credit card processor. And so for those kind of clients, what we've done before is set up multiple payment systems, and then you can easily turn one on and turn one off. Or you can have it set up, it depends on what it is, I guess, but maybe you could have them both running and let the customer choose. I don't know if that really would make much sense, but yeah, like that screen I was showing before where your payment settings were, if you had, like, let's say, for example, I already have Square set up here, but what if I had a problem with Square and my Square account had been disabled for whatever reason? It's just a quick turn that off, turn PayPal on, save my changes. Now, if you've got kind of two payment systems set up, then it would just be that quick to switch over from one to the other.
And thank you very much, Terry, for your question. Please feel free to ask some others. Does anyone else have any questions on WooCommerce before we switch over to Michael to talk about Shopify?
Curiously, Ken, Diane here, since we're in the payment section, does WooCommerce actually require you to put the PayPal or Square code on your site? That's currently what I do. I implement the PayPal code onto my site, but you make it look so easy with just flipping the switch of PayPal versus Square there, and I just wondered if that is implementing your code for the page.
Yeah, you mean like how to integrate your account to your Square?
Right, like if you've got your WooCommerce site set up and then you've got a PayPal button, say you're using a PayPal payment method, and that's already on the WooCommerce page. I just didn't know. It's not a big deal, but I just wondered if it was easy as flipping those switches there, rather than copying the code from PayPal and then reinserting it into the site.
Yeah, so in this example, though the Square plugin itself is still active, so I still have my settings here. And the way that Square works is that here's where you go to put in. So this is my, a test site. So I've got sandbox mode enabled. And then I've got my sandbox ID and token here. So this is how Square kind of integrates with my WooCommerce site.
Gotcha.
And even though in the moment right now, I've deactivated Square from the store, my settings are still saved here. And a lot of times, even if I had deactivated the plugin and then activated again, the settings would still be saved.
And so, Ken, what about maybe you have a particular plugin you could recommend to Diane, because it sounds like she could use a better plugin or a better way instead of just adding code to the site. She shouldn't have to do that.
Well, we're actually, it's just a buy now button that is on we have symbolic adoptions of our ski otters that we offer. And so we currently use either a PayPal donate now button or a PayPal buy now button. And anytime I need to, and that PayPal button is actually collecting all of my information on my customer because I'm not WooCommerce yet. So that's where whenever I change that PayPal button slightly, I have to re-implement the code and reinstall the code on with any changes, if that makes sense. I get a copy of it from PayPal, and then I just have to delete the old one and put the new one in if I need to change what I'm collecting from PayPal.
Yeah. So I don't know if you're doing this, but one thing that could help you make it, I don't know if do you have that same PayPal code on a lot of different places on the site, like different pages?
Not very many, just to keep it just to keep it streamlined. I mean, because we really are basic. It's just whether somebody is making a donation or somebody's actually doing the adopting a ski otter. And they would use, it's a buy now button for the adoption, and it's a donate now button for straight donation.
So one thing you could try is in WordPress, there's a thing called a shortcode.
Gotcha.
And one plugin that I like is called, I believe it's this one, Shortcoder.
Okay.
So just a quick example here. So I've added Shortcoder to my site and I'm activating it. And what this one does, it'll give you in your, let's see. There's a link here to manage your shortcodes. What you can do is create a shortcode, and this lets you put in your PayPal code.
Right.
So this is kind of like HTML right here. So you could put any kind of script or anything that would be kind of an embed or anything, iframe or something like that can go in here. Like let's say, for example, I called it PayPal, and then I had my, PayPal code goes here, whatever it is that they get.
Mm-hmm.
If you publish that shortcode, it'll give you this little text here. Actually, just copy it.
Right.
If you then put that, so let's say you had like 10 pages where you have your PayPal, buy now button.
Right.
You could put this same exact code in every page. When in the future, when you want to change your PayPal script, you could just change it in this one place. It'll automatically show on all those other 10 pages.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
So something like that, I like to use shortcodes.
Yeah.
Especially when you get into trying to put code into like a page or a post, because the content box for a page or a post is not really meant for a lot of detailed code. It's more kind of general HTML. So short codes are good when you get into that area.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ken, and thank you for your questions, Diane and Terry. So let's turn this over to Michael now, so he can show us Shopify. And Michael, feel free to take as much time as you need.
Great, thanks. Let me share my screen here. And I am going to have to talk fast only because I have another meeting right at noon. But let me, where's my... Okay, hopefully everybody can see this. This is my Shopify page for my e-commerce business, and I did used to use WooCommerce. I mean WordPress and the WooCommerce plugin, and I thought that everything was good on that. I'm not a tech programmer, and I'm not tech savvy. And I always say that we know my business is doing well when I no longer have to be the one managing my website. But it's very user friendly, if you will, for people that are not super tech savvy. I do think that there's probably some flexibility that you get with a WordPress, WooCommerce options that maybe you don't get with Shopify. But Shopify for me is a lot more user-friendly and kind of simple to use. And I'll explain a couple of things. So the biggest challenges I had with WooCommerce was that you have to have the sites, your websites hosted on a different server and things like this, and they have to kind of talk to each other. And then you have to get things like security certificates added to the site so people can feel comfortable putting their credit card information and those kinds of things. And everything kind of expires at different times. And when one thing expires, it shuts down everything. And then I was struggling to figure out like which was the thing that expired this time around, even though I would work with technical support at some of those services to say, just set it on auto renew. So when it expires, it just renews and you can charge my card or whatever the case was. And it still just didn't happen seamlessly. So I would go sometimes and I realized that, gee, my site hasn't been active for 2 days. And I think about the sales that I might have lost in that process. So if you're a little more tech savvy or you're working with a group that prefers a WordPress kind of combination, I think it's great. It has tons of functionality, as Ken just kind of mentioned. Shopify is very similar in that way from the functionality and the kind of the ease of use. I think where some of the limitations are with Shopify is your theme products and those kinds of things and the ability to kind of customize your site a little bit. But Shopify offers plenty for what I need to run my business. So all the things that Ken kind of went over, it's laid out very similar to like the WooCommerce kind of concept here. I can track my orders. I can see my data analysis. I can see, just some metrics that go in there. The analytics are a nice feature. It works pretty seamlessly with things like Google Analytics. If you're running social media campaigns and you're trying to track things from different sources. When you go into the order sections, I can see things like, this is the first time this customer has ordered this product. This is how they came to your site as an example. So that's helpful for me. Some of the other things that I use pretty frequently are the discounts. This I used a lot on WooCommerce as well. And they work almost identical. So they're very easy and seamless to do. And I highly recommend that you put codes in here, especially if you're doing things like promoting your products through other people's websites, or you're running, print ad campaigns in magazines or publications, or you're featuring your product on a podcast. Offer up a discount while you're, placing that ad or speaking about your product on a podcast to the listeners of that podcast, and give them a unique code, because not only does it make them more inspired to buy, but it gives you the opportunity to understand which channels are being most effective for you. So that's why I highly recommend that you do this. And you can create these and turn them on and off as you like. You can do a straight percentage discount. You can do a straight dollar discount. You can say there's no dollar or percentage discount on the price of the product, but I can click a button and say just include free shipping. So maybe that's just simply the discount is free shipping. I can do a combination of both. So pretty simple and easy to use. Those are some of the things that I use quite a bit. And then the online store, and I know that Ryan had asked some of these questions, and some folks on the call here had some questions as far as being able to kind of pick your themes and what they look like. That's all great. And you go into these apps here and you can pick how people choose to pay you and how they choose to select their shipping. So we do a lot of shipment worldwide as an example. And so customers have the option to pay a little bit extra for the worldwide shipping. And then I use DHL Express as an example, and it plugs right into the Shopify page. I'm certain that it probably does something very similar on a WooCommerce page as well. But they can choose between, regular US Postal Service, UPS, whatever you have accounts with. Ken mentioned ShipStation, which is great. Another great tool that kind of pre-selects what the best option is based on delivery times and price as well. The other thing that's really nice from a Shopify standpoint is a lot of 3PL services. So if you're using warehousing for your physical products as an example, and you want the warehouse to just kind of fulfill the order and drop ship it, they have software that plugs right into the back of Shopify. I find that more of them have connections with Shopify than they do with WordPress, but certainly there must be some warehousing services that plug in with the others as well. So if you're not housing your own inventory, as an example, those are some of the things that I found beneficial. Again, from a payment standpoint, and I know this was a conversation with Ken's presentation. So I have, like on my site, I have it set up so that customers can choose how they want to pay. So I have a PayPal account. They can choose Google Pay, they can choose Apple Pay, they can just simply put in their credit card information, and Shopify operates as the payment processor for me. The primary difference is it's beneficial to do that because then the customer can pick and choose what they're most comfortable with. The bottom line is it comes down to the fees and the service that you get as a customer with any one of those payment platforms. When I initially did research on PayPal and Square and Stripe, the pricing was all relatively the same, depending on the volume that you do and those kinds of things, and the payments are always going to be the same. What happens for me from a processing standpoint is, depending on how the customer chooses to pay me, the money transfers to my bank account differently. So if they use just the standard enter your credit card information on the Shopify site, Shopify, basically I have it set up so every 2 days it transfers and moves money into my business banking account. If they pay on PayPal, I actually have to go into my PayPal account and make that bank transfer happen. Again, it's not super time consuming, but it is kind of an extra step. So it just depends really on how you want to set it up in that way. But those are kind of the primary differences for me. I don't have to worry about security certificates. I don't have to worry about renewing anything except my domain name itself once a year typically, and everything else is kind of built into Shopify. There's probably certainly some arguments to make that, certain Shopify might be a little bit more expensive, if you will, compared to some other options that are out there. But again, it's kind of ease and convenience of use for me. So those are the primary differences. I've been super happy since I made the switch to Shopify, and it's made my life really easy. You go on orders and a customer makes an order. I can print the shipping label right from my website. I can print it from my app. I don't even have to be in my house where my printer is. I can just print them when I'm on the go and come home and have a stack of shipping labels ready for me to go and fulfill the orders. So yeah, those are the primary differences. So are there any questions?
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Michael,
Sure.
for this. And thank you very much, Ken. Thank you all for watching and participating in this. We are all available here to answer any questions. Feel free to write to us. We are happy to help. Again, this is like a free service that we offer. Michael and Carrie and Ken and I are all happy to answer some additional questions. And just as a reminder to everyone, one way that we would really appreciate you, if you could show appreciation to us for the events that we do, is by giving us a review on Google or Yelp. That would be greatly appreciated if you haven't done that already. And please join us for our next webinar on e-commerce. Our next one will be on SEO for e-commerce, I believe. So again, thank you very much, and you all have a great day.